The biggest mistakes that Gen Z will make or have made. I'm going to be discussing a few different things that I've seen, not only from my experience being a person in Gen Z, I'm 24, but I'm also going to be speaking more importantly on the observations that I see, so many mistakes that I've seen in the people around me, whether it's my friends, whether it's just people that I graduated with, or something that I see as foresight. To start, there's going to be a lot of common mistakes that a lot of people make throughout their entire life. So these are not just so specific to Gen Z, but I do believe it's going to be some of the things. Some of these things I'm going to speak about are things that are just going to be overlooked because they're overlooked by the majority of people, anyways. But I think they're still worthy of mentioning. Now, what I will say, when I add to this list, I would hope that you would also add to this list. So whether you're watching live or whether you're rewatching this, please leave it in the comments. I would love to hear your guys' feedback as far as some mistakes that you can see that Gen Z will make. So to start, this is going to be one that hits home, and I'll give you a little bit more of my backstory. So my daughter, I have a daughter, right? She's like 8 months years old. She'll be one here soon for sure. And in our generation, I'm 24, like I had mentioned. People kind of, for whatever reason, society in a weird way looks frown upon people having kids at a young age like mine, even though previous generations have had plenty of children, even before this age. Like, I can speak from my own perspective. My parents already had me and my sister. Um, by the time they were my age, they were already done having kids. Like, my dad was done having kids pretty much by then. And I think that's crazy because me having a child, let's just say at 23, that's really, really young. And I think that's very, very odd when you observe the landscape. Most people don't have children. Um, one, the mistake that I see is a lot of people are not going to have children. So the thing that I observe, and this is something that I wanted to mention on plenty of podcasts, but this is the one that I had said that I want to really talk about and go deep into it, right? I'm going to give you my observation. My observation is this: most people in our generation will not have children. They will be chasing their tail, trying to catch up financially before they have a child, because obviously you would think, children are expensive, and you want to be more financially responsible and maybe more stable before you have children. And obviously that is going to be an ideal to strive for, an ideal that is worthy of having. But if we're being truly honest, and I can speak for men, but women is an entirely different conversation, but I'll get into that as well. A lot of men will never be able to prepare themselves financially in order to have a child in our generation. Now, my child it wasn't exactly the most planned thing. She definitely wasn't unplanned, because me and my girlfriend have been talking about having children for years now. So it wasn't something that was completely unplanned. But obviously, I would love to be in a better financial position just as everyone else would. But my thing is this, right? In order to have a child, there's so many things that need to go in right for you. And a lot of those things don't go right for most people in our generation, if we're just being honest, right? So first, you need to go talk to women. What? You need to go talk to women? No way. But yet most men in our generation aren't talking to women at all. That's just what it is. You have a very small minority of men that are talking to all of the women, kind of. And I think that's very, very interesting, because it's like, have children. What do you mean have children? A lot of the men don't even have girlfriends. Like, you see what I'm saying? So I think that's funny. So that's going to add a different element of making it a little bit more hard to have a child, a little bit more of a barrier of resistance when it comes to having children. So first, you need to talk to women. You need to find a compatible partner, which is very, very hard for most people, especially hard for our generation because we're just socially resistant for whatever reason, even though we have social media and all these new advents that are supposed to be in our favor when it comes to being more socially advanced. But yes, you need to talk to women. You need to find a compatible partner. You probably need to be with them for a couple of years. You might want to get married even beforehand. And that's all time. That's all money. That's all concentrated focus and action. Most will not take that path. Most will not even get that far, let alone having children, right? So you need to be in a financial position. In theory, like I said, if you could set it up the way that you would like, the most ideal scenario that people are going to be looking for, you need to be financially um, stable. We'll call it stable. You need to be financially stable. You need to find a woman. Okay. Those two things are enough for barrier of resistance for like I will say probably maybe 65% of all men will not have a child in this generation unless something radical changes, like the financial system completely topples over and we need to redo the entire system, which is not going to happen. Very, very unlikely. But yes, I think this is something that people are going to really regret later on in life, especially women. The propaganda that society gives women is to push it off, pursue your career. You don't need to really find a man, just have fun, go hook up with a bunch of people. And these are the women that we're supposed to have children with. Like, come on. Like, what's going on, actually? So, there's a lot of things that are truly not going for Gen Z when it comes to having children. And I think this is going to be one of the biggest downfalls to this generation. No matter how brilliant you are, if you're not able to have children, I think this is going to be a tragedy for sure. And, Jaden brings up a good point. Add the amount of women who are having fertility issues. Perfect. Because not only are women having fertility issues, men are also having fertility issues. So, with this being said, we are living through a time of chemical castration. If you don't know what that is, I would highly, highly recommend you look it up. But essentially, if you've heard the concept of microplastics, endocrine disruptors and things like that are all things that throw off our hormones and throw off, essentially for women, I don't know, something with estrogen, having too much estrogen for men, having too much estrogen and not enough testosterone. So that's going to affect, you know, fertility in men, fertility in women. So that's also going to add another complexity to this issue of my own observation. This is part my prediction, but part something that's probably going to happen. Um, so yeah, not having children. People want to set themselves up for a financial position. Likely they probably won't be able to do it. Likely they probably won't be able to find a woman. Likely by the time maybe they find a woman, are financially stable, there's a good chance that those women are not going to be fertile. There's a good chance that man, if he's not taking care of his health, is probably not going to be fertile either. So most people in our generation will not have children. And this is very, very sad because, me having a child and being able to really get the full experience and then be able to observe so many people, none of my friends have kids. Except the ones that are a little bit older than me, but besides that, anybody younger than me or at the same age, I don't know anybody personally that has children at this young of an age. And it's a tragedy. It truly is a tragedy. I really don't have that many friends that have girlfriends either, or even talking to women in general, because it's a big, big problem. I've discussed it plenty of times on the podcast before, but yeah, not having children is going to be a very, very big one. This is going to have a ripple effect that people will not be able to really feel until a couple of years, maybe like 10, 15 years from now, you'll be able to really understand um, the concept of, what is it? I just heard about it earlier. Essentially, to replace, what is it? You need at least, on average, the population needs 2.1 in order to be replacement, something replacement. You need to have more than two children, right? Essentially, to replace you and your wife, right? So that's something that, like I said, I just don't see that happening. Fertility and everything's going to shit when it comes to that sector. So my recommendation is this, truly. Though it might be a little bit irresponsible, if you have found the partner that you are truly going to spend the rest of your life with, I don't think any time, pretty much with most circumstances, I don't think there's any inconvenience of having a child. Obviously, it's going to make things hard, whether you have money or whether you don't, whether you're financially stable or not. Having children is going to be difficult. But just like most things, meaning is found in the difficulty. There is going to be moments that you have with your child that I've had with my child that there is nothing that can replicate that experience. There's no joy that you'll be able to get from being woken up by your children, right? One of the biggest treats that I have in this life is to be woken up by my daughter, for her climbing on top of me and waking me up. Like that's like one of the best experiences that most people in our generation will never get to really experience, and that is truly a tragedy because it's a very, very beautiful thing, man. And me recognizing that, having children, and then being able to understand that most people aren't going to have that, it's a very, very harsh reality to go into. For me, I would like to have a couple of kids, three, four, five, maybe. And like I said, it doesn't. If my recommendation for most people is if you found your partner, please have a kid. Do yourself a favor, amidst the struggle, amidst all the difficulties that will come with having a child. Do some research and have a child. That's the best thing that you can do in this life. It is one of those. Most men want to be fathers, right? Most women our age don't even want to have children, which is broken, obviously, because a lot of men want to have children. Women don't want to have children. They want to have fun. They want to go sleep around. They want to go do all these things. Of course, men, same way, kind of. They want to go sleep around and things like that. But it's very interesting when you. I'm a person that's been a very, very close observer. I do a lot of research on topics like this, and it's a very, very sad reality when you begin to understand the climate that does exist today with having children. The idea of having children is something that should be super normalized, but is such an odd thing in today's time, for sure. I'll move on to the next one. This is going to be another obvious one. I spoke about this plenty of times before, but this is something that I'm going to reiterate because it's really just that important. One of the biggest mistakes that Gen Z will make or have made is not taking enough risk and settling for an average existence and not giving an attempt at something potentially better, right? And regardless if it works out or not, it is worth a shot to take some risk on one of your dreams that you have, right? And the only reason I say that is because of this, right? We are so aware as a generation that most of us don't want to live this, oh, well, let's just work 30 to 40 years and then we'll go ahead and retire, or go ahead and work 50 years and then we'll retire. Like, that concept is something that is so undesirable to our generation. There's so much that is out there. There's so many opportunities that we have in front of us and that we observe that other people are taking. There's so many different lifestyles that have never existed before that you can have if you put in enough work, if you give yourself the knowledge and then act on the knowledge that you have. But I think a mistake that a lot of people will make is they will look back so I'm 24, 30, 31, maybe early 30s, mid 30s, late 30s. A lot of people are going to realize that they have pretty much been lied to. They've took the bait that society has. Like I said, I keep reiterating the fact that society is giving you nothing more than propaganda. You need to differentiate your own programming. But I do believe that there's going to be most people that look back and say, you know what? My life sucks. I'm not happy. I have no meaning. I'm not fulfilled. I don't have any children. I don't have a partner. And I don't have the dream life that I had set out for. Or that I didn't even think about my dream life, right? They make so many of those mistakes. Like I said, I can foresee this happening, and it's just missed opportunity. At the end of the day, it's missed opportunity, and it is truly a shame. For me, I'm building a personal brand. Is there some risk? Of course. In my opinion, there's risk for not building a personal brand. I think you guys, anybody watching that doesn't have a personal brand or isn't on the quest of building a personal brand is going to be one of the most valuable things in terms of social currency that we have in today's world, and it will probably be like this for at least a couple more years of this being something that people are going to gravitate towards. And I see a lot of people that are my age that are starting to do this now. And for me, I've started 4 or 5 years ago, almost 5 years ago now, and it's something that I highly recommend for sure. Just do whatever you want to speak about, right? I recommend this on a lot of different podcasts. What are your interests? Speak about those things, right? What are your interests? What skills that you want to go ahead and develop, right? I want to develop my speech because I believe it is one of the most important things that you can have. It is something that we all do, but not enough people actually take the time to work on this skill, right? And for me, I'm speaking about my interest. This is something that I'm truly interested about. I'm truly enamored at the current state of the experience that Gen Z is truly experiencing, because it's something that unlike any other generation has experienced. And I feel like we don't have enough awareness. So I want to spread awareness. So this is what I'm doing today. But yes, I do believe that most people will not take a risk. They will settle for an average life. They will live the rat race, and they will look back with regret. I could have been this. I could have done this. I see my friends doing this. I see people who've made a living doing this. And here's the thing, I'm not saying that you need to be or create a personal brand and here's the thing, I'm not saying that's all the only risk that you need to take, right? There's many different risks for every single person, right? Um, but the biggest risk you can take is to not take any at all. It's a damn shame. It's a missed opportunity. Like I said, there's so many things that are out there for you to just settle and do something that you could have done 20 to 30 years ago. It is a true mistake in today's world for sure. So I can go on and on about that, but I'll move on to the next one. Another big mistake that Gen Z will make or have made is going to be going to college. I'm a person who's an advocate for college for a select amount of people. If you actually need it to do the work that you want to go ahead and do, then go. But if we're being honest, with the abundance of information that's on the internet where you can pretty much learn anything, I recommend you don't go to college. College is probably for 20% of the population, if I'm being honest. You could do many different things, right? Like I said, you can build a personal brand, you can work a job, you can work a trade. There's many different things that you can do that I think is really worth your time. You can't replicate the college experience. That's something that I will say. You can't replicate that experience. And for whatever, if you value that or not, right? Obviously, it's a big networking opportunity. There's a bunch of people your age. There's a bunch of degeneracy, obviously. For me personally, I'm glad that I didn't go to college because I probably would have leaned into that degeneracy. I can at least admit that, right? For me, instead, I decided to build a personal brand, sharpen my character, build the skills, and deep dive into my interests because I found that to be something that's so much more worth my time. And here's the thing, one thing that I observed as well is if I went to college, I'd probably still be doing the same shit anyways. I'd probably still want the same shit that I've already been on the pursuit of for, like I said, almost 5 years now. I probably would have just said, well, mm, maybe in a weird world, I would have went to college. I would have got a degree. I actually could get a job and got a job in something that I actually went to school for, and then still it's not enough. It's still boring as fuck. So I wanted to build a personal brand anyway. So I built a personal brand, but it was just very much delayed. So take risks because here's the thing, man. You not taking a risk is just you're setting yourself up for a future regret. Don't do that. Take a risk. Live with the result. Truly, that's what I'm willing to do. For me, I'm willing to take a risk and live with the result, knowing many different things. Just do it, man. Just do it honestly. But yeah, going to college, I think it's going to be a big mistake for a lot of people. A lot of people are realizing this just now, right? I would say most people they get out of college what 22, 23, something like that. From like I said, for me 24, a lot of people that are going to college, most people are not coming out with the exact experience that they need in order to go into the workforce and actually do something. Um, Obviously, just obviously depends on what it is, but I'd say for the most part, it's really not going to be for most people. It'll be a mistake. People looking back, they'll be in debt, not being able to really pay it off, and that'll be something that is truly crippling. The next one that I have, the next biggest mistake I think Gen Z will make, and I'm not going to say that this is going to be most, I would hope this is not most, but it'll probably still end up being most, is an obvious one. Not working out. One of the highest ROI things that you can possibly do, return on investment, is working out. Making sure you're looking good, feeling good. It pretty much improves every single aspect of life. If you don't work out, you're going to feel more shitty, 100%. You're going to feel more depressed. You're going to feel more anxious. You're going to experience the realm of negative emotions much more often, as opposed to if you work out. So, I think there's going to be a lot of people that do work out. That's something that I will say is a lot more of a popularized trend right now, especially within our generation. So I'm glad that a lot more people in our generation are going. But a lot of people that I went to high school with are fat. They're either fat, the same, or worse. I've met a few people who go to the gym and who genuinely look better, but I'll tell you right now, most people look like shit. They're either the exact same that they were in high school, which is worse because you just wasted, I'm like damn near 6 years removed out of high school. So you just wasted a lot of damn time, pretty much. It's actually, 6 years. Crazy. That's crazy. But it'll be a damn shame. You need to work on your body, your health, things like that. You need to be health conscious. I think everybody should be health conscious. It's one of the things that, impacts every single person. What you put into your mouth in terms of food is very, very important. We all know that, but most people don't actually do anything about it. I think a big mistake that a lot of people will make in our generation is not going to the gym. This will be something that I think is clearly obvious. Another big mistake that I think Gen Z will make is, if they can, moving out of their parents too quick. If your parents allow you the luxury to stay with them, amidst all the bullshit that you probably have to deal with, if you can stay with them as long as you can, it is probably going to be one of the best things that you possibly can do in terms of being able to acquire more wealth, being able to access opportunities, and be able to have a little bit more flexibility in terms of taking more risks. I think that's going to be something that potentially can affect your life long term. I feel a lot of people, they will take on this financial burden, or maybe they are put in this position because their parents don't really care for them that much, or they don't want to live with them or whatever. And I think this is something that I think will affect a lot of people, right? Um, Most people are living paycheck to paycheck, right? We all know this, but you don't want to be house poor. That's like I said. There's no flexibility, and I think a lot of people will, they'll say, you know what, I'm sick of this bullshit with my parents. I want my own place and things like that. Of course, there's going to be a lot of positives that can come out of that, truly. But what I will say is, if you can have a couple of years where you don't, if your parents are, nice enough to let you live with them, I think it can be something that can really positively affect you if you're actually genuinely taking the shit serious and taking risk. It can definitely pan out very, very good. You could, like I said, you could save up money. You're adding more to your emergency fund or whatever, and that's a W in itself. No risk taking at all. That could be a W in itself. But I do believe a lot of people, I can observe this. A lot of people move out very, very early. They want their own independence. They want to be an adult and, expedite this process. And I can't blame you, because this is one of the things that are the markers of, growing up and being an adult and things like that. But I think people will regret that. I think it is a genuine mistake. If you can do it, do it. And like I said, at the very least, save up some money. And if it's not for you, if you really just want to move the fuck out, then go ahead and do it. But the cost of living is so high that it's almost like you're going to work. You're spending more time at work than you are in your own house. Like, that's crazy. That's insane, dude. So yeah, that's one of the mistakes I think people will make as well. I think buying a new car, I don't think that's a very good financial decision that Gen Z will make, especially with the financial position that we're all in right now. Buying a brand new car is a mistake for damn sure, right? I'd say buy a used car. If you can buy it outright, that's even better. But ideally, buy a used car a couple years old, where a car is a depreciating asset. We all know this. But yet, a lot of people will say, you know what, I'm just going to buy a new car, and then you're cooked. You're spending $500, maybe even more, maybe a little less, on a car payment monthly, and you're just allowing yourself to be stuck in this slavery that we call working, making a living, right? And I'm not saying, if you actually need to, then do it. But if you have a used car, or like, there's many different ways you can really go about it. But essentially, if you can defer this a little bit longer, it can work out in your favor for sure. Like I said, whether it's saving money, whether it's rocking out with a little bit of an older car, humbling your ego. I think it can have a very high ROI. But a lot of people, they want they want a new place, they want a new car, and then all the money that they just made is going to the things that they want, that they actually kind of don't have, because you're financing a car, maybe you're renting a place, you don't own either, kind of, in a weird way. So it's just one of those things, man. So like I said, if your life allows you that opportunity, as far as to defer these things, then I highly recommend it for sure. Like I said, if you're forced in this position, or maybe you've already found yourself in this position, right? Like I said, will make or have made, then it is what it is, and you just gotta take it on the chin, and that's all you got to do, really. But I would like to hear a little bit more of what you guys think. Leave it in the comments, or leave it in the live comments. I'll be live for a couple more minutes. But I'm definitely genuinely interested to see what people view as mistakes that other people are making. Maybe you've made a mistake yourself. Let me see if I have any that come on the top of my mind. Big mistakes that Gen Z will make. I could say not making a personal brand. I think that's something that it's something that it makes a lot of sense. It makes too much sense. There's something that you're interested in, and you cannot be the only one interested in it, right? You see what I'm saying? There's a lot of people that you watch that are probably not as smart as you on something that you're truly interested in that you could make content about that would be very, very good in terms of the potentiality that can exist if you actually put some work in. If you actually gave a shit, if you're willing to wake up before you need to go to work and work on something that you're actually interested in, that is catering to the skill set that you either have or trying to build, that just makes a lot of sense to me, right? Um, and like I said, it's just a missed opportunity if you do not. I think we'll look back in about 10 years from now, everyone's going to want to have a personal brand. For you to say, you know what, I don't need it, I don't want it, I think is going to be a very, very silly mistake. When you look back and say, "Ah, dude, I remember that one guy, Champ. He was a very, very silly guy. You know, he didn't. He was building a personal brand. He was weird at that time, but look at him now. You see what I'm saying? You don't want to be that guy. You don't want to be that guy that says, "Dude, I thought about doing it, I didn't do it," or, "I was gonna do it, but it just looks too goofy. I can't see myself doing that," or, "I don't want to see myself on camera," or, "I don't like the way my voice sounds," or whatever excuse you want to give yourself, whatever cope you want to give yourself. It is something that you observe. It's what the world is ran on. The world is ran on personal brands. The mass media that does exist today, it's the big media is going away. It's all going to be the individual, right? It's all going to be people shows like this. It's all going to be shorts. It's all going. You see where the world's going. I don't even have to explain it. You see where the world's going. Now, if you want to build towards that, I highly recommend it because if you don't, you're missing out on an opportunity. Like I said. Let me see if any. What else? What else? Because those are some huge ones, obviously. Um, I guess you could say I'll say not finding a partner, not being super intentional with trying to find a partner. This was something that was very, very intentional for me. Something that I probably spent too much time, but now that it worked out and everything like that, and it was just the amount of time that I needed. But I feel like people they don't value this enough. And I'll speak for women, for example, right? And this is something that I probably shouldn't do, but I'm gonna say it anyways because this is my perspective, truly. I do believe that women should be prioritizing amidst the propaganda that society is going to give you. It is going to be way more worth your time in your one life that you have to be trying to find the partner that you want to spend the rest of your life with. And here's the thing, you need to put that first. Women should be putting that first. The world went wrong when women were not putting that first. When women were not prioritizing trying to find a partner to have children with, to build a life with, that is a mistake. All the women in today's society were led astray. Truly, I truly believe that. So you need to find your partner. Your partner's out there somewhere in the world looking for you, waiting for you. You need to go out there and get them. You need to get off your ass. You need to get off your phone. You need to go find your partner. A good woman by your side or a good man by your side is worth the entire world. And if you don't have that or putting that off or wanting to work on your career or waiting to do it or you're not bold enough to go ahead and talk to women or go ahead and talk to men or whatever cope you want to give yourself, I'm telling you right now from a person that has experienced this, from a person who's I spent so much time thinking about dating. I've spent so much time thinking about the partner, the qualities that I want, the qualities that I need in a partner, and it has been such a benefit to my life that for me to not be on here and saying that is truly doing the people a disservice. That's why I have to mention it. So, yes, you need to dedicate more time. My thing is this, right? A lot of people, a lot of men, they want to find a woman when they're already at the mountaintop. Oh, then now I'll look for a woman. The one thing that you can't get at the mountaintop is a day one woman. So you need to keep that in mind. the day one woman, in my opinion, is the best thing that any person can have, right? Or the day one man. That's the best thing that when you guys are nothing and then you build something together, that is the best. That is the best case scenario, right? If you're a man, you want to build something and then find a woman. How do you know she's actually in it for you being you? You don't actually know that. You can think that you know that, but you don't actually know that. So I do think it is a mistake that a lot of men make, a lot of people in Gen Z will make, is not spending enough time trying to find their partner. They're going to be so distracted by themselves. They're going to be so distracted with the things that they, are leading them to a degenerate life. They're going to be so focused in their career or so focused in going to the gym or in things like that, that they are going to neglect one of the most important aspects, which is your spouse in this life. So, yeah, I think that'll be another mistake that a lot of people. I think if you understand the utility of having a good partner and what that could do for your life, you're foolish to not be in the pursuit of that, regardless of your excuse. Like I said, whether you're working on your career, I just want to work on myself, bro. I'll work on myself and then I'll find a woman. You're missing out on time, bro. She just added another body because you wanted to wait. Because you're working on yourself, she just has another three bodies right there, bro. So what are you doing? You're letting your wife stay in the game too long, man. Get her out the game, bro. Find her and get her out the game. Simple as that. So, no, I'm being a little bit, humorous, but I'm telling you, get her out the game. Get him out the game, right? Find your man, get him out of the game. He's out there and he's going out with the boys, doing God knows what. Get him out the game. It's very, very important. Like I said, these are big mistakes that Gen Z will make. Hopefully you can avoid some of these. Hopefully you haven't already made all of them. So, yes, I highly recommend taking those serious for sure. If you do not know me, my name is Champ. I help men win. That's what I'm here to do. I'm trying to get people a little bit more of the things that I've recognized and observed, and hopefully that'll be more of a winning perspective for a lot more people. Bring a little bit more awareness to Gen Z's mistakes, Gen Z's experience, and hopefully that'll be much better for everybody. But other than that, make sure you go and follow me on Twitch, TikTok, Rumble, Spotify, Kick, X, pretty much all at Life of a Champ or Life of a Champ podcast. And other than that, next podcast is going to be on Thursday. And that's pretty much it, man. Live your life, but hopefully you can prioritize what you need to prioritize. Take into account the things that I had mentioned today, because those things are going to be, I'm telling you right now, if you don't focus on it, it'll for damn sure be a mistake, for sure. Y'all have a good night. Next podcast on Thursday.